Hi there, I'm back on this carrot field. It's tough going, it's so uneven, I'm doing it very unscientifically because it's just not at all flat. But that's not to say we haven't found some lovely things, not just last time I was here, but today as well. I'll show you in a minute. Well, one really good thing so far. And I was just thinking amongst other things, the great thing about the Deus Lite, I don't have anything to look at or study, no lines, no numbers or anything, so I can think away and dream away to my heart's content. And I do get the odd comment of, gosh, all you do is find good things, it can't be real, you're taking stuff to fields. I mean, all that absolute rubbish, which really annoys me, but I've learned to ignore. And I was thinking maybe I might just do an hour of detecting on a good field, so there's a chance of finding nice things, and just show you absolutely everything, my thought process of what I dig, what I choose not to dig, how fast I go, how slow I go, all those things. So just instead of just having one nice find after another, just 1 hour of just completely unabridged filming of exactly what happens to me in an hour of detecting on a normal day. I mean, I do get quite often, oh, just show us the rubbish, show us the rubbish. I'm not showing you me digging up rubbish all day long. I don't find that fun to edit, and I'm sure you don't find it fun to watch. But we might just do just that 1 hour. I'm more interested in showing you what's going through my brain when I get certain signals and what I choose to dig and what I choose not to dig, because I think it all comes down to time management. Good detecting is about time management, and if you decide to grow at a snail's pace like that and dig every single signal, okay, brilliant, you won't miss anything. But the flip side is you might not find much either. Anyway, here we go. As I said, it's a bit rough, all this. That's very, very bright. Too bright, really. It's either going to be very nasty or it'll be something really wonderful. It'll be a big bit of silver or copper or coin or something, but I don't fancy my chances. And I've just got this coin to show you afterwards anyway. Yeah, that's just too punchy. And I think it's just a piece of lead. Yeah, it might have something on it actually. But you can't not dig those. Misshapen. That could be something, who knows? Or it might just be casting waste. Anyhow, if you want to see me just an hour of not editing anything out, just exactly what happens in an hour, then let me know, because it might be, I think it'll be fun to make a video like that. Anyway, let's have a look at this one. Now some of the coins I found in this field are in the most incredible condition, and this is no exception. It is one of the sons of Constantine, I think, and on the back, on the reverse, we have the camp gates. And I'm reading a book about the Roman army at the moment, and every single evening when they stopped somewhere new, they built a camp. They built an entire camp, and it was just extraordinary. And quite often, certain towns and settlements were built on top of these camps, and they might have become towns and villages that even exist today. Anyway, the camp gates on the reverse. There's going to be so much information on this. It's just in such good condition, and I can see cons. So I'm imagining it's Constans or Constantine II or Constantius II. I don't think it's his dad. I think it's too late for that, but that's a lovely coin in amazing condition. I'm absolutely thrilled. And what else we found today? Well, that funny piece of lead, and I found a nice dandy button as well. If I can dig it out. See, look, I've got a whole pocket full of rubbish here, which I've never ever show you. But as I said, if you want to see a video and all that, I've got one of those cartridges with the pin coming out, which apparently someone told me once are rarer than the camera flicks itself off. I've been so boring. It's turned itself off. But this is one of the ones with the pin coming out that side. I think the stalk rather, I think that dates it to something very strange, like an exact 5-year period between 1830 and 1835 or something. And as I said, someone told me these were rarer than Roman coins. They're not much to look at though. Bits of junk, lead and all the rest of it. And then this rather nice dandy button. with a star in the middle of it, which would have had some good design on it at one point. So anyhow, brilliant. Looking forward to today. Nice and warm. I'm not out as early as I'd like to have been for various reasons, but yeah, here we go. I actually really like the way this camera switches itself off, because it does reminds me to shut the hell up sometimes. Anyway, I've been accused of talking too much before, so anyhow, now this is really exciting. Listen. It is what it sounds like. Flat lead. Little flat lead, it's soft. It's a pretty boring sound. It's on the foil. With a Deus Lite, no numbers, no readout, all the rest of it, just sound. It's on the foil sort of section, but it's not. No, I'm absolutely cock-a-hoop about this, because I've found several of these now on these fields, and it's something which is fairly peculiar to this region of the UK, even though they are found all over the place. And look, it's a boy bishop token, and it's a lovely one. Now, these are little lead, sort of 13th to 15th century tokens. They died out in the Reformation, as the Reformation came in. In fact, we'll go back to headquarters. I've done a little chat on these before, but I think it might be worth updating it very quickly, and it will give me a chance to show you that Roman coin cleaned up as well. But I'm really pleased with this. It's very thin, it's very fine, and on a certain day I may not have dug that. Again, probably a lot of you were saying, oh, you've got to dig everything. You shouldn't not miss things like that. Well, on certain days when there were really good signals and I'm digging up loads of foil, I will miss something like this. I know I will, but it might be there for next time when I've cleaned out the field and I'm going for every single signal. But anyway, that's lovely. They are made to look like hammered coins. In this case, just a normal hammered penny of sort of the Edwards. Got the penny on one side. Sort of 13th, 14th century penny, and it'll have the bishop's mitre, I think, in this case on the other side. There we go. And they come also, as I'll show you in a minute, they come in halfpenny sizes and groat sizes and all the rest of it. There's 3 different sizes. Anyway, that's absolutely lovely. They're not common finds, these. Anyway, let's go back to HQ and I'll tell you all about them very quickly. Hi there and welcome to headquarters. Now, I have done a little chat on these before, but there's such interesting things that if you missed that video, it might be worth having a quick listen to this as well. They're called boy bishop tokens, and they came in 3 different sizes: penny, half groat and groat, and I'm really fortunate enough to have found all 3. They were little tiny lead tokens, all to do with the cult of the boy bishop. Now, this centered around the feast of St. Nicholas on December the 6th. He was the patron saint of children, and in the medieval period, it was a sort of church tradition to elect one of the boys of the church, one of the choir boys or one of the altar boys or whoever it may be, to take on the role of the bishop and even perform clerical duties up until December the 28th. Now, these tokens were produced and distributed by the boy bishop to basically to the poor. They were sort of charitable things, and they could be exchanged in the abbey or in a guild of St. Nicholas for food and things like that. The tradition was practiced throughout the country, but most of the tokens seem to have been made by the Abbey of Bury St Edmunds, and most of the tokens are therefore found in the sort of Suffolk, Norfolk, Essex sort of area where these were all found. Now, another thing which connects it to Bury St Edmunds is the legend, especially on the groat here. The outside legend reads Ave Rex Gentis, and you can see it quite plainly on this one. On one side of all these coins you have a mitre and a bishop, or the boy being the bishop, and on the other side you get what very much looks like pennies or groats or half groats of the day. But the legend Ave Rex Gentis, Hail King of the People, refers to an anthem, a hymn that was sung in that abbey. Now, Henry VIII apparently didn't like this because he felt it was mocking the church to some degree, and since he was now head of the church, even though it was a new Protestant Church of England where saints and the Virgin Mary, etc., weren't quite as accepted, to put it bluntly. The cult died out, or these were very much sort of frowned upon. The Catholic Queen Mary brought the tradition back to a degree, and by the time Elizabeth I comes back, it basically dies out, and the production of these stopped. They are very, very thin, and they are made of lead, and you can be, as I said in the field, you can be excused for not digging these. Well, at least I excuse myself for not digging these, because sometimes if I'm in a very foily area or very, very tiny leady area, I don't want to be digging foil and lead all day. But there was just enough on this to make me think, well, it might be worth having a little dig, and I'm jolly glad I did, because it's another one of these tokens. Anyway, I'm absolutely thrilled. I love these. And while you're here, a quick look at this coin. Now, it's a real stunner. I can see clearly on the Emperor's side, Constantinus Org. But now, when I look at the reverse, which is the camp gates, 2 turrets, camp gates, 2 turrets, and that reverse you get in the early Constantine coins. You might get this reverse with the sons of Constantine, of which there was a Constantine Jr. But the fact that it says Org and not Knob refers to the fact that this was Constantine the Great, because this coin with the camp gates would have been minted at a time sort of 330, something like that, when his son Constantine was still Caesar and not emperor. In later coins you get Constantinus Org. That could be either Constantine or, well, it's Constantinus PF Org usually. That tends to refer to the son of Constantine, Constantine II. But this one is Constantine the Great, and it's an absolutely lovely one. I've not found many with the camp gates, and I've not found many with the camp gates in this condition. It's an absolute beauty, and I can clearly see the mint mark which says Const as well. It says P Const. It's not Constantinople, it stands for Constantia, which was the Roman name for Arles in France. So that's it's a French Roman coin. Anyway, what a cracker. Thank you very much for listening to that, and let's go back to the fields. Well, that gave quite a nice sound, and it's a little bit of strapping. Now, I found several bits of this sort of copper today, but that would have been really lovely at one point. Well, not really lovely, but just a practical thing. There would have been a pin through there, and it would have been part of a buckle or something, and then this bit would have been attached to the sort of leather. It's just really cool. Very good sign. Probably sort of, they usually say sort of, I don't know, 1250, 1450. But that's just a nice one. Good early thing. And then this one I found as well. And that's got, you can see where the gilding would have gone through there. And again, it would have probably held up, a pin in that section like that. But just really lovely early finds, those. That one's in good condition, actually. Pleased with those. Yeah, I like those. That's quite bright. That does sound like a cartridge, but I've got I found another really lovely Roman coin. So I can show you that anyway. Yeah, I would say shotgun cartridge end all day long on that. You can't ignore them. I know what they sound like, but you can't ignore them. It's not a shotgun cartridge. It's just a button. A nice button. But that's what it was. Gosh, don't we find hundreds of these. But we don't find hundreds of these. Oh, I found a nice thimble as well, funnily enough, if I can find it. Not a very early one. I don't think. But quite a nice one all the same. I'm not crazy about thimbles, unless they're silver or gold. And I don't find many of those. I have had one silver find, and it was about 1650, and it was a silver thimble, and I sent it to the Flow and the Portable Antiquities scheme, and it was, and that was 3.5 years ago. I heard a little bit about a year after. I haven't heard anything since. And it was a really lovely thimble, probably so unimportant to everyone apart from the person who found it, i.e. me. And yet that's it. I might suspect they've lost it. But anyway, this is very, it's quite worn, but it's also in very good condition too. Now I think by the portrait, I think it's Constantine, and because he sometimes has that sort of rather aquiline nose, Constantine the Great. And it's just a lovely one. It is quite warm, but I think through use. And the legend's very clear. And on the other side, it's the two captives sitting underneath the standard. Now, I haven't found many. I can count on one hand the amount of that reverse I've found. I mean, I don't know how rare it is, but I've found very few. But that's lovely. That's in really good condition. So I'm pleased with that. I'm less pleased with the button, but not a shotgun cartridge. God, the live digs have not been, not great live digs, I'm afraid, today. Well, that's my second thimble of the day. That's the one I've just found. And this is the one I found earlier, in slightly better condition. But ever since whoever they are stole my silver one and never got back to me, or never told me where it is or anything, or who's got it now, just kept it and went silent. I'm not very fond of thimbles, but those two are quite nice. And of course I like an early one. Yeah, they're okay, aren't they? They're okay. My God, that was a horrible sound. That's tin can area, isn't it? I mean, I almost didn't bother digging this. I'm glad I did. Now, I think it's a Crotal bell. It's very big and it's very green. And it is. And not only is it a Crotal bell, I've never found a whole one of these. I've found the loops of them. I've found the lugs of them before. But I think, and this isn't quite whole, but it's bloody close. They're very fine, the copper in these things. And I think that these, I've got a feeling that these are really early, this type. I think that this type is the earliest type of Crotal bell. It almost looks a bit more modern than the sort of 17th century ones, which actually are the crudest looking of the lot. Generally speaking, with Crotal bells, the cruder and more primitive they look, the later they are. And this one, which is very clean and crisp and very fine, I think those are the earliest. Now, as I said, I think I've found the lugs of them before, maybe the top halves, but I've not found one as whole as this. I've not got a point. Someone very kindly once sent me a thing with a you put on your key ring type of thing, and it had a really useful point on it, and I never remember to bring it with me, and I wish I did. And it was a really lovely present, and a really handy tool. But I just carry so much stuff on me anyway, I never remember to bring it out with me, but I will. I'll put it aside and make a point, because I can't get all the dirt out of that. But anyway, that's really cool. What a find. It's a fabulous field, this. I mean, it's not everywhere. You've got to work quite hard at it, and I can't wait for it to be flat, if it is this year. I don't know what they plan with it, but there's everything on it. Everything. I even found a little Saxon something or other on it last year. Well, again, I'm afraid I've done a talk on Crotal bells as well, but you may not have seen that video, so very quickly, I've never found one of these. Now, generally speaking, Crotal bells, the more modern looking they are, the earlier they are, generally speaking, in my opinion, and the more crude and nasty they look, the later they are. Now, the one we found on the day, this one, it's very fine, it's beautifully made. And there's a very good website, which I'll show you now, and I'll leave a link to it below, which tells you all you need to know about English Crotal bells. And these ones, as I said, I've never found a full one, and this isn't, not even this one's quite full, but it's close to it. It's a very fine example of one of the earlier ones. This is probably 15th century, and it's an absolute cracker. It looks like it may have even been silvered at one point. Shame it's not whole, but again, it's a first for me, so I'm thrilled with that. Then you get these ones. Now, this is not the most beautiful in the world, but it's rather a sweet one. It's quite a silvered little one. Got its P in it, but doesn't really ring, and it's got a drilled hole. Now, these date to the sort of 15th, 16th, early 17th century, and even though they do look sort of quite nicely and cleanly made. And then you get these ones, which this one is just one I had lying around. I found it fairly recently. They've got these bloody ugly great loops there, these luggy loops, and I think it's because the way it was cast, the loop was cast fairly close to the body of the Crotal bell, and it was pulled out at the end. It was just, and obviously an easier way of manufacturing these things. This one does ring still, and these ones are sort of 17th, 18th, possibly even early 19th century. But I'm thrilled with this one because, as I said, I've never found one before, and it's a really, really good one and an early one. Anyway, good boy. And for those who missed Tasky, Tasky came out with me the other day, and I found possibly the best thing I have ever found. Suffice to say, it's early and it's gold. And he was with me at the time, so I really should probably bring him out a bit more often. But he's so much trouble. As I said, I always bring him out to places I know really well and land he knows well, so he can bugger off for his heart's content and come back when he's good and ready. But I can't take him places where I'm a bit nervous of what might happen. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to that, and let's go back to the fields. As always, we're metal detecting in the windiest country in the world, bar none. I never noticed how windy it was before I started making these videos. Fortunately, my mic should be shielded from it. I think this is going to be the last live dig. I'm sort of done. I'm cooked. I didn't put any sun cream on today because I didn't think it was going to be sunny. And it's been a fabulous day. I've been really so lovely to be out again in fields like this. The cartridge, there's a lot of cartridges here. Is that it there? No. I'm not pinpointing well today. I always tell you when I'm pinpointing well, and I tell you when I'm pinpointing badly as well. I'm pinpointing badly today. God, I'm miles off. Just there. Well, not too bad, but still not great. I'm feeling tired today, that's why. I'm not quite running on all 4 cylinders. Oh, I thought that was a silver coin. Oh, it is a silver. It's not a button at all. I thought it was a button. It looked like it from there. It's a William III sixpence. Or if it's not a sixpence, no, it's not. Yes, it is. Guillemus. Or is it too small to be a sixpence? I don't know. It's in quite good condition. A bit worn on the reverse, but I can see most. I mean, that's lovely. Well, that's really encouraging. It's nice to dig something live that that turns out to be good. And I was thinking about not having found any silver. Okay, it's not hammered, but it's the next best thing. And it's a really lovely one. I'm thrilled with that. Well, I might go on for another half an hour in that case, but if you don't see me again, thank you very much for watching. That's been really good fun. I've enjoyed it, and that's just the icing on the cake. A little William III silver coin. Thank you. Yeah, thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.